Hello, my name is Ericka Harris, and today I'll be presenting a book review on the book How Women Rise by Sally Helgesen and Marshall Goldsmith. I will now provide a brief introduction of my presentation. Next, I will give a book synopsis and move on to comparing to what we are currently learning in our course aligned with the contents of the book. Then I will give you my overall insight of the book as well as my personal recommendations. Being a woman young in my career, I thought it was only fitting for me to pick up this book. I had no idea how it would change my current views of how my managers may perceive me, as well as how I view myself. Sally and Marshall wanted to create this book to provide specific and helpful guidance for women seeking to advance to the next stage in their careers. This book primarily focuses on how women need to change their mindsets in the workforce. Sally and Marshall identify at least 12 habits that they've noticed within women that have caused them to not be able to apply for leadership positions or even other jobs. These habits are currently holding them back from receiving a raise in their current position and maybe unknowingly holding themselves back from receiving a promotion. The book is broken into 3 parts that explain how women can be stuck in their position, habits that prevent women from reaching their goals, and how to eventually change for the better. These 2 give glimpses into women's lives that identify their current roadblocks in their career. There were a few stories that really stuck out to me. One about Maureen, who's a lawyer who can't figure out her way as to why she can't become partner at her law firm. Or Diana, who works at a mineral company in Australia, who's built countless relationships outside of the company, but can't figure out how to build relationships within her company. Or maybe even Nancy, who's worked as a senior administrator in a highly regional medical center, became a person that everyone could go to, but she felt stretched too thin. This book identifies the 12 habits that can be broken into behavior patterns, such as not having a clear view of your goals, hyper-focusing on irrelevant details, and sometimes just being overall too timid. Overall, this book gives women the power to change their behaviors that cause them to be stuck in their careers when they truly don't have to be. I will now discuss the connections between How Women Rise as well as what we've learned so far in this course. In the first week of the course, we discussed who is a leader, and within How Women Rise, it explains as to why we don't see many women leaders. Women have a tendency to lack trust. A couple of habits that women possess that align with this characteristic is habit 3, overvaluing expertise, habit 5, failing to enlist allies from day one, and habit 7, the perfection trap. We also discussed trust being a quality that we would love to see in all of our leaders. We should be able to trust ourselves and the work that we put out. What I also found interesting is that in the course, we discussed how women can also be too trusting, which can also hinder them in their career path as well. One of the habits that stuck out to me the most was habit 2, which explains how women expect others just to spontaneously notice and reward their contributions. In Module 3, we discussed the expectations that we have from our managers, as well as how to improve our performance. Managers sometimes will never know what you're doing unless you tell them. It's hard for women to openly brag about themselves or go into a detailed list of accomplishments because they do not want to feel like they're bragging or gloating about themselves. We cannot expect to have hovering managers. Managers cannot work with us to improve our performance if we do not vocalize our accomplishments as well as other areas we feel that we need to improve in. Another habit that connects with what we've learned in this course so far is habit 4, which explains how it's important to leverage relationships rather than solely focusing on building relationships. We've discussed the science of persuasion and why it's important to know how to persuade. In the book, they discuss Diana, who had an extremely hard time using her relationships to her advantage and not just solely focusing on building meaningless relationships. At the end of the day, there is a thin line between an opportunist and having knowledgeable people who are in your corner that can help you. All relationships should be a give and take. And when someone is only benefiting from you, these relationships do not place values in the area that you want to better yourself in. Building relationships with meaningful people can be viewed as an art of persuasion. If I had to rate this book out of 5, I would definitely give it a 4.5 out of 5. My overall take of this book was that this book was extremely informative and really allowed me to self-reflect on habits that I have, as well as making me aware of habits that I do not want to develop. I want to ensure that I do not create a space for myself where I am stagnant, and I want to continue to grow my career. This book provided plenty of examples and stories about women who were hindering their own career path, and I really wish they just would have went into detail as to how some of these women noticed the habits and changed their overall selves. I loved how this book provided an action plan on how to change women's thought process towards their career. It was also great that they acknowledged that all of these habits cannot be reversed overnight, but it's important to train your mind to think in a different way. I would truly recommend this book for all women in any stage of their career. It's important to always know that there's more to learn. I also think that this book would be great for all leaders to read because, as we have learned, leaders need to be extremely well-rounded. Even though this book is centered towards women and how they can improve themselves, men can also take a look at this from a leadership perspective. If they have women on their team, it is important to identify these habits. That way they can challenge them to break some of these habits to become better individuals. Finally, I would recommend this book to anyone who feels complacent in their career or is looking to be challenged. It's always important to know that we have the ability to change our path at any stage in our career, breaking one bad habit at a time.